The future of warfare and military defense has long been discussed around air superiority. Hence, in a global arms race, in a bid to beat the other world powers to the punch, the United States military created an air monster, the AH-6, capable of landing on the most unforgiving terrains with the primary function of providing direct air support and armed reconnaissance. How effective was this tiny chopper on its first mission? Where does this breakthrough position the United States defense in the world rank? Join us as we discuss the use of the AH-6 Little Bird by the United States' Special Forces. Aside from force, which is an inevitability in military warfare, intelligence gathering and stealth have been priceless tools of war deployed at the warring country's discretion. However, unlike force, stealth isn't easily achieved, as it not only takes years of practice and willingness to break a few rules of engagement in war, but also requires top-shelf technology, especially in aircraft. Over the years, companies like Boeing and Northrop Grumman have proven to be useful assets to the development of the United States defense, with popular inventions like the different variations of the unmanned combat aerial vehicles, otherwise called the UCAV, including the Boeing X-45, Grumman's X-47B, and the MQ-25 Stingray. While these heavy-duty stealth demons cannot be overlooked, the invention of the AH-6 chopper made its way back into the spotlight when Boeing completed the maiden flight of the Royal Thai Army's future AH-6 Little Bird light attack helicopter in Mesa, Arizona. The advent of these recent tests piqued the interest of Americans, and the AH-6 was back in the news. Talking about cutting-edge technology developed out of necessity, the AH-6 Little Bird falls right in that category. It was built for its stealth attack capabilities to equip an elite team in the United States military called Special Forces. Important missions requiring stealth and specific combat training are delegated to the Special Forces team, who are equipped with cutting-edge technology, including night goggles, suppressed machine guns, and stealth aircraft like the AH-6. While the AH-6 has had its name in the American and global military landscape for quite a while, it isn't an invention magically spawned out of a vacuum. The AH-6 was modeled after the MH-6M, nicknamed Killer Bird, probably not a subtle enough name for a Special Forces team whose whole mission is built around stealth and discretion. However, its effectiveness in battle cannot be undermined. The MH-6M Little Bird is rooted deeply in the history of America's warfare. It is a light helicopter used in the United States for special operations or special ops, which are military activities conducted, according to the Northern Alliance Treaty Organization, by specially designated, organized, selected, trained, and equipped forces using unconventional techniques and modes of deployment. It was originally based on the OH-6A, which was started in 1960 when the United States Army issued Technical Specification 153 for a project called Light Observation Helicopter, with a propensity for carrying out stealth missions, including reconnaissance, intelligence gathering, casualty evacuation, and attack missions. The Light Observation Helicopter program was created to replace the aging Bell OH-13 used in the Army. And just like that, the United States effectively created intense competition between aircraft companies, leading to the first ever model, the Model 369, later referred to as the YH-6A, a name designated to it by the Department of Defense in 1962. The YH-6A was created by Hughes Tool Company's Aircraft Division, a major American aerospace and defense contract company owned by Howard Hughes. Although his prototype was the first to rewatch the United States Army, they were willing to wait for other competitors who had vested interests in serving their country and enriching their own company. It was the perfect blend of capitalism and patriotism melded into one. Surely nothing drives quality supply more than that. In their patience, 4 other prototypes were built and sent to them, with each one fitted with a 252 shaft horsepower, which is equivalent to 188 kilowatt Allison T6305A engine. Fairchild, Hiller, and Bell sent a combined 10 prototypes, which were in direct competition with Hughes's 5 prototypes. After the back and forth, Hughes's prototype was selected as the winner, making him the pioneer of the very first light helicopter under the Light Observation Helicopter program. At first, the military sought out a production of 714 of Hughes's prototype, but they eventually increased it to 1,300. The helicopter was unarmed, as it was only built for observation and stealth reconnaissance missions. Hence, they were fitted with benches on the sides to carry at least 3 operators on each side. While the unarmed version sounded like a fantastic idea at the time, the military found a different use for the lightweight chopper, enforcing the birth of the AH-6 gunship variant. If there is one thing the covert operations and special forces specialize their modus operandi on, it is complete discreetness and the ability to utilize stealth, and the AH-6 provided them with exactly that. The AH-6 was the perfect stealth operator. It had a small size to go along with its being extremely lightweight, in contrast to other helicopters like the MH-60 Black Hawk. The AH-6 variant of the MH-6 Little Bird was born out of a failure that has haunted America's past and present, the infamous Operation Eagle Claw. The United States has always played big brother to numerous countries across the continents, including Africa, North America, Europe, and even Asia. However, in some cases, insurrections arise and there is suddenly a need for military intervention. Such was the case on November 4, 1979, when 52 American diplomats and citizens were taken hostage at the United States Embassy in Tehran, Iran, by a group of Iranian college students who belonged to the Muslim student followers of the Imam's line, a group who supported the Iranian Revolution. As expected, the United States tried to utilize diplomatic relations, but it was a futile effort and a waste of time as they still couldn't secure the hostages. The then President of the United States, James Jimmy Carter, considered the hostage situation an act of war and acted accordingly. In preparation for the military intervention, 8 helicopters, specifically the United States Navy's 53D Sea Stallion, were sent to the staging area known as Desert 1 for a test flight before being deployed for the mission. While the 53D Sea Stallion was being prepared for the mission, only 5 returned from the staging area in operation-ready condition. The President was then advised to abort the mission since they had less than 6 battle-ready choppers, while the last 5 choppers headed out of Desert 1. One of the remaining helicopters crashed into a transport aircraft that contained both servicemen and jet fuel, resulting in a fire that ended the lives of 8 servicemen, a sad day for America, which was described as an act of God by Ayatollah Ruhollah. This humiliating defeat of the Sea Stallion during the 1980 Operation Eagle Claw, resulting in a loss of patriotic American lives, exposed the limitations of the American Army helicopter fleet. It geared the United States towards the sad reality that the Army lacked aircraft and crews who were trained and prepared to perform special operations missions. The realization of a lack of preparation for the worst-case scenario birthed the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, commonly referred to as SOAR, also known as Nightwalkers. The task force was given the responsibility to carry out missions, which included attacks and reconnaissance missions. The decision-makers who created this task force very much recognized the importance of having a much lighter chopper, which would not only be effective in ferrying soldiers, but also good enough to stealthily insert and remove operators on mission grounds before detection. Their need resonated with Hughes's AH-6 Achaeus, a single-engine light helicopter birthed from the Light Observation Helicopter Program. The AH-6 Achaeus got the nickname Little Bird when it was compared to other available aircraft of its ilk, including the UH-60A and the CH-47C. Owing to its recency at the time, not many had flown a helicopter that small or of that weight. Hence, rather than base it on experience, selected pilots were sent to the Mississippi Army National Guard's Army Aviation Support Facility at Gulfport for 2 weeks of qualification training, then sent to Fort Huachuca, Arizona for 2 weeks of mission training. Fast forward to the following 2 weeks, and the pilots were ready to have a crack at flying the lightweight beast. Their readiness coincided fatefully with the United States' timetable for having a second attempt at rescuing the hostages in Tehran, Iran, where former President Carter failed. The new operation was tagged Operation Credible Sport. While they prepared for a new military intervention in the second half of 1980, diplomatic relations won this time as Iran released the hostages in 1981, jeopardizing the need for a team to pilot the AH-6 Achaeus. However, the United States chose to keep the team together. You never know when you just might need them. However, as evolution and time set in, a new hunger for war required a different course of meal. Hence, the AH-6 Achaeus had to be remodeled to fit recent warfare. The AH-6 Achaeus's airframe was remodeled to create the MH-6, which only served the purpose of ferrying soldiers and operators for reconnaissance missions or for simply extracting and inserting soldiers on the mission ground. While the AH-6, remodeled from the OH-6 AH, was armed with gunships for missions that required attack and stealth. While the OH-6 AH had fully evolved into the MH-6 and AH-6, its real test awaited on the battlefield. Luckily, a country with the size and ambition of the United States is never short of failed diplomatic relationships every now and then, resulting in a need to resort to force sometimes with biblical implications. And in 1993, the need arose with Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada. For the first time, Task Force 160 was called into overt combat action, and they delivered the most devastating blow during Operation Urgent Fury. On D-Day, the two newly evolved OH-6 AH MH-6 and AH-6 were flown to the Eastern Caribbean from a base in North Carolina, where they were discreetly transported inside a Lockheed C-130 Hercules, an American four-engine turboprop military transport aircraft designed and built by Lockheed, capable of using unprepared runways for takeoffs and landings. Upon landing on the island's southwestern coast, the two AH-6 were removed from the belly of the beast and set off on a mission for the capital of St. George to attack Fort Rupert, the permanent Grenadian military headquarters at the time. The little birds were piloted head-on into the thick of things and straight into the action. However, the Grenadian defenses at their headquarters just didn't budge. The little bird found them so formidable that they were returned to base in a short span of 10 minutes. Their quick evacuation from the war created a vile rumor in the media, with reports stating that a variant of the OH-6 AH was shot out of the sky during the war. Reports from the United States pawned the news off as a vile rumor from the opposition, trying to verbally jeopardize the military might of the United States. Although the AH-6 might have been found wanting in war, the MH-6 was utilized for other missions during Operation Urgent Fury. It was used to carry wounded servicemen to get help from the medical team, and also to conduct an unscripted search and rescue for servicemen who had been shot down by the stiff anti-aircraft of the Grenadian Air Force. While this was a failed battle test for the OH-6 AH-6 variant, the United States made sure that the aircraft was not listed in the public inventory of the United States military at the time. Hence, no one could tie the failed experiment to them at the time. However, the existence of the secret aviation aircraft came to bear after the war ended. While Operation Urgent Fury's failure registered so deeply in the hearts of the United States defense, they understood the limitations of the AH-6 and just how far it could go and the missions it was capable of. Although the limitations were registered, they needed a win to show their strengths, and Operation Prime Chance was the perfect battle to finally unleash the real strength of the AH-6 and the reconnaissance ability of the MH-6. Operation Prime Chance is nothing short of the classic Iran-Iraq clash, where they targeted each other's oil shipments when they passed the Persian Gulf. The United States' military might, Big Brother tendencies, and good diplomatic relationships brought Kuwait to their doorstep, seeking the help of the United States and asking them to use their flag on their oil shipment to avoid a bombing from the Iraq-Iran ongoing war when they crossed the Persian Gulf. Kuwait supported Iraq financially during the war. Hence, Iran, seeking their pound flesh, attacked every tanker under the Kuwaiti flag, using either small boats, mines, or anti-ship missiles. To this effect, the United States deployed Navy warships as escorts for a Kuwait oil tanker named Al-Raqqa, but renamed SS Bridgerton to put it under America's protection. However, the SS Bridgerton still struck a naval mine, reflecting to the United States that more firepower and reconnaissance were needed to really protect any oil tanker crossing the Straits of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf. Therefore, they deployed the AH-6 and the MH-6 aircraft as counter-surveillance and attack measures. The AH-6 was given twice its original responsibility, which was always to attack since it was loaded with gunships. However, it was also deployed for both surveillance and patrol while working in tandem with other United States Special Operations units. During surveillance at 10 p.m., the two AH-6 Little Birds found the Iran Ager, an amphibious landing ship built by the Japanese, but used to lay naval mines by Iran in the Persian Gulf to distort oil exportation. Since the MH-6 carried forward-looking infrared, it had an excellent capability to detect and identify targets. And once it identified the Iranians who were laying the mines from the landing shop, the AH-6 opened fire, causing them to abandon the ship and the United States to capture it. And for the first time in a sensitive mission, the AH-6 just gave the United States a big win, cementing its place as an important part of the United States' history of diplomatic relations and warfare. The success of the AH-6 and the MH-6 in Operation Prime Chance not only showcases the strength of the OH-6 Caius variants, but also highlights their versatility and importance to the United States defense. However, in 1984, Hughes's aircraft company was taken over by Douglas McDonnell, who had it for 13 years before merging with Boeing and practically selling the aircraft division of the company to them. Boeing came in with a plan to take over the aviation space, and they got to it from day one, with an attitude to never leave any stone unturned. They recognized that the contemporary combat landscape has evolved. Hence, the tools to practice the trade must do the same. It is rarely news to anyone that warfare and technology over the years have reached an all-time high, with unmanned battle drones coming into the fray, while reducing the chance of fatality drastically. Hence, Boeing's decision to remodel and repurpose the AH-6 and MH-6 caught no one by surprise. In 2004, Boeing created a variant of the AH-6 that they named the Unmanned Little Bird, or ULB in popular parlance. The Unmanned Little Bird was based on the design specifications of the MD-500 family, which Boeing built from a civilian MD-530F. Its first flight was recorded on September 8, 2004, and made its first autonomous flight with safety pilot on October 16, 2004. The safety pilot procedure was ensured to create a safe testing environment such that there was a trained pilot in the Unmanned Little Bird who had access and control to the cockpit and could take charge immediately at the first of trouble or in emergency situations. Boeing's plan was like none anyone had seen before. They wanted to up the ante from the modus operandi of the 90s to unimaginable heights. Their production of the Unmanned Little Bird was also a precursor to introducing and demonstrating the capability of a whole new different air beast, the AH-64 Apache. The experiment was rather straightforward. It was a test to see if the Unmanned Little Bird could be controlled remotely from a manned aircraft like the Apache flying right next to it. Eyebrows were raised in doubts, but Boeing was ready to rumble, and this time they pulled out all the stops to make it work. The Apache was used to remotely control the ULB's weapons payload as a part of Boeing's Airborne Manned/Unmanned System Technology Demonstration, otherwise called A-MUS-D program. On the very first test, the Apache Longbow was grounded while the Unmanned Little Bird went airborne and was several miles away, while equipped with some Hellfire missiles. When the tester fired the missile from that distance, no one thought it would work except Boeing, of course. However, it did. Both aircraft were equipped with tactical data link equipment manufactured by L3 Technologies. Boeing understood the importance of having the flight completely unmanned with the safety pilot off. Hence, they put together their data from the test flights and had to go at it again, this time without safety on. So on June 30, 2006, from the United States Army's Yuma Proving Ground, the Little Bird flew unmanned for over 20 minutes, signifying a success. Following Boeing's success, different variations of the AH-6 have flooded the markets, and some good enough to fly special forces out to Mexico on their mission. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.